Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radiant Central, and I'm your host Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So we're in the middle of May, and I just want to remind everyone about our Healthy Habits Challenge of drinking one green juice a day for the entire month of May. So if you've been doing it, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about your benefits and how great you're feeling and what's your favorite juice or anything. So you can post it on today's blog post at Radiant Central or on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you want. Just let me know how you're doing. And if this is the first time you're hearing about our challenge, every month we focus on one healthy habit to do for the entire month. And so for the month of May, we're drinking one glass of green juice a day. So if you're just hearing about it now, get onto it. Don't worry that it's halfway through the month. You can start now. You'll still get the benefits. So along the lines of juicing, I want to talk about juicers today because I get a lot of questions from people asking me, what do I recommend, what should they be looking out for, how to buy a juicer. There's so many juicers out there and it gets very confusing. So what I want to do today is kind of simplify and explain the different types of juicers available and what I recommend and all of that. I just want to mention before I get into it that on my website, I do write up articles that go with the video. So with today's video, there's a written article as well that's going to go through all the different types of juicers and what I recommend. So if you're watching, let's say, this video on YouTube and you're thinking about buying a juicer, go over to my website at today's blog post. I'll put the link below, and also read the article because there at least everything's written out and what I recommend is written out, so you don't have to worry so much with the names and things like that, the technical stuff. You can read that on my website. And just for anyone to know that with all the videos, I would say over the past few months, I'm always writing articles that go with the video. And sometimes there's more information in the article than the video, or different information in the article than the video. So if you want to know more of what you're watching, do go to my website, radiantcentral.com, click on blog, and you'll see all my articles there. All right, so let's get into the juicers. So one thing that I suggest to anyone that is new to juicing and they're thinking about buying a juicer and they're really excited about it and they want to try it out is, one thing I recommend is finding a used juicer. There's so many used juicers that are cheap. And you can go and look on Craigslist or eBay or a garage sale or your local classifieds. A lot of times people are either giving away juicers or selling it for very, very little. And a lot of times these juicers are like high quality, expensive juicers that someone has never used, or have used like once or twice or a few times, but they're in like top shape and you can save a lot of money by buying it used. So it's something to think about and something to do your research. If you're open to buying something used, try that out. I also want to mention too is that a lot of times people get nervous with juicers, like they feel or anxious, like they should be buying the best juicer to start with. And sometimes just buying a cheaper juicer and start with that and see how that goes. And if you like to be juicing regularly, later on you can always upgrade to a better juicer. And that's what I did. I've been juicing for about 20 years now. And for the first 10 years, I was using a really cheap juicer that a friend of mine didn't want and he gave to me. And it was a cheap Centrifugal juicer. It wasn't the best quality, but it worked. And I used it for 10 years. And I used it until it broke. And pretty much since it was 10 years old, the company was no longer making parts for me to replace it. So I would have continued using it until it broke. and it was fine, and I was happy to be using it. And I knew that since I was using it daily for about a decade, that I knew it was something that when it finally did break, I wanted to invest in a better quality juicer. And I knew that I would actually use the juicer. You know, that I all those years of having one, I used it, and therefore it would be a good investment. And I found that for me was a sort of like a better progression to go in, as opposed to buying a really expensive piece of equipment, using it for 2 weeks and then never looking at it again. Whereas I used it for 10 years, I knew that this was part of my daily life and something I almost felt like I couldn't live without. And therefore it was worth paying a few $100s to buy something good. And after that cheap juicer broke, I bought sort of like a mid-range juicer. I bought a Champion juicer, and I used that for about 5 years until I moved to Bali, Indonesia. And when I moved here, I didn't bring anything with me. I had to rebuy everything. And so I bought over here an slow juicer, and I've been using that for about 5 years now. So over the past 20 years, I've kind of made my steps progressing to a better and better juicer, and it's been good. And I found that just by having prior experience of juicing and having juicing in my daily life, I knew as I was buying juicers, I knew what I needed. I knew what I'd be using the juicer for. Because the one thing I'll explain with the juicers is that each juicer has its strengths and its weaknesses. It doesn't matter if it's the most expensive juicer or the cheapest juicer. They all have strengths and weaknesses. And I would say each type of juicer is good for juicing one thing, but maybe not so good with juicing another type of thing. So for an example, the cheapest juicers out there are known as centrifugal juicers. And what it is there's a basket in the center of the juicer. And the basket has like a fine mesh strainer. And inside there would be little blades or little spikes. And pretty much this basket with the spikes and the blades inside would spin. And as you're putting fruits and vegetables and the green leafy vegetables into the juicer, this thing would spin and it would shred the fruits, the vegetables, and the green leafy vegetables into a pulp. And then the pulp would be pushed through the strainer, and the juice or the liquids would be separated from the fiber. And that's how more of the cheaper juicers or the more mainstream juicers, that's how they work. And there's many, like you can find cheaper, like low quality juicers like this, or even higher quality juicers like this that are more expensive. There's many, like the price points are all over the place with it, and also the quality. I find out of the centrifugal juicers, I would say the brand that I would recommend the most would be a Breville. Okay, they make pretty good quality centrifugal juicers. And also there's many different models. And what I would say, I used a centrifugal juicer for a decade, and what they're really good for is juicing harder fruits and vegetables that are water dense, like carrots or apples or beets, even cabbage. It's good at juicing. I found though that with softer things like green leafy vegetables like spinach, not so good. I would say it also could not juice wheatgrass. I would also say softer fruit, maybe like papaya or something, it doesn't juice well. So it does well with more like the harder stuff, like carrots, cabbage, celery, things like that. Things that have a lot of water, but they're hard, so that it can really push through the strainer part and yield some juice out of it. I would also say too with a centrifugal juicer is that it is known not to yield as much juice as a higher quality, different type of juicer like a masticating juicer or a twin gear. So it still works. I used a centrifugal juicer for a decade. It still gets you juice, but maybe not as much juice as another type of juicer. Okay, so that's to keep in mind as well. So if you're new to juicing and you don't have much money, you can go with a centrifugal juicer and experiment with it. Because I found I used one of these for 10 years and I was making green juices with it, but it was a matter of figuring out how my machine worked and what was the best way. And for some people it might be that they have to chop things up more and they got to use a lot of like carrots and things like that to push the greens through it to get more juice out of it. So it's a matter of like when you have a juicer, it's about getting to know it and playing around with it and experimenting with it, because each juicer, each machine is going to work differently. Okay, so that's a centrifugal juicer. Now there's the mid-range juicer, higher grade juicer, which is a masticating juicer. And with a masticating juicer, how it works is that there's an auger in it, and this is like a single auger that's known for. And what it is that it's a piece like this that is twisting. And as it's twisting, it's breaking up the fruits and the vegetables and the green leafy vegetables, and it's pressing it against the screen to push the fruits and the juice through the screen and separate it from the pulp. And with something like this, a masticating juicer, which is sort of like a mid or high range juicer, it will yield more juice than a centrifugal juicer, and it's less likely to heat up. I've used two machines that are masticating juicers. After my centrifugal juicer died, I got a Champion juicer, which is a masticating juicer, and then an slow juicer, which is also a masticating juicer. Now, both of them work the same way, but they're different, totally two different machines, and they work a little bit differently to give me different results. I found with what I loved about the Champion juicer was that it was a very strong, durable machine. That machine will last forever, okay, forever, ever, ever. It's huge, it's big, the engine is amazing, and it's not going to fall apart, it's not going to break. And what I also liked about it was that it can juice a lot. Okay, like if I'm doing juice fasting and I need to be juicing like liter after liter after liter of juice, I can use the Champion, and I don't need to be cleaning it like halfway through. It's not going to get clogged up, nothing. It's really good at that. Mass amounts of juices, great at. But it was not very good with juicing greens so well. It wasn't as efficient as the slow juicer. And I couldn't juice wheatgrass or anything. I couldn't make like a pure green juice out of it, like a wheatgrass juice. But I've heard in recent years that Champion has made an attachment for green leafy vegetables, for the wheatgrass or for juicing like straight kale or something like that. And so you can get the extra attachments for that machine to work better. I'd also say another thing with the Champion juicer that wasn't so great was that it could heat up after a while. Okay, so if I was like juice fasting and juicing a lot, is that the machine could eventually start heating up. Not always, but sometimes it did, and therefore would heat up my juice, which isn't so great because it can, if it heats it up too much, then it's totally oxidizing it. You're losing the nutrients and it can actually taste bad. So that was the only downfall of it, is that if I was juicing a big quantity of juice, it could start heating it up. It was just too much stress on the machine. So that's with the Champion. Now with juicer that I'm currently using, and I've been using, I'd say for the past 5 years, is I love the juice. I'm really happy with it because I can juice wheatgrass with it. I can make green juices with it, no problem. I can even make nut butters with it. Like it's great with everything. The only downfall of it is that I can't, if I'm making a large amount of juices with it, I have to clean it out a few times. It's kind of like it can juice maybe, I don't know, maybe 500 milliliters or 2 cups or a liter. And then afterwards, if I'm juicing even more on top of that, maybe like a few liters for a few people, then I have to clean it out, clean the screen out because it starts clogging up. I also have to cut everything up, more so than I did with the Champion. But the juice I get, it yields a lot of juice from the fruits and vegetables, and I would say more juice from the fruits and vegetables than the Champion did. That's another thing to look out for with juicers, is that it'll juice something, but some juicers really extract the liquid out compared to others. And each machine is different. And how you feed the machine, how you put the fruits and vegetables in it and prepare the fruits and vegetables to go in it will make a difference. So sometimes taking that extra step to cut everything up, to put it through your juicer, might get you more juice than as opposed to just throwing big chunks of fruits and vegetables in there. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, there's one other type of juicer that's available that's a higher end juicer, and that's known as a twin gear juicer. And examples of that would be a Green Star or an Angel juicer. And these juicers are also can be quite expensive as well. And how the twin gear juicer works is that there's 2 gears, right? And just picture my finger being gears. And what they do is they rotate next to each other, and the fruits and vegetables are pressed through it. And so together, they're kind of pressing out and the juice from the fruits and vegetables and greens. What's great about a twin gear juicer is that it's very, very efficient with juicing greens, like wheatgrass or juicing spinach or any type of delicate green. It does very, very well with extracting the juice from it. Okay, I would say better than any other machine. But the downfall is that it's also known not to be so great at perhaps juicing softer fruit or other vegetables or other fruits. So it's kind of very efficient with the greens, but maybe a little so-so with the softer fruits. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. If you want to be doing green juices and you're willing and you want to invest in a really good machine, then the Green Star or a twin gear juicer would be a great, great option for you. The only thing too that I've also heard from many people is that it's difficult to clean. There's a lot of little parts that you need to be cleaning, and it's also much slower with actually extracting the juice, which is not a bad thing. Okay, if it's slower at extracting the juice, that means it's not going to be heating up, and that's actually a benefit. But if you want to be making like mass amount of juices and quickly, maybe that's not the type of juicer you want. Okay, so that too, keep in mind. One thing I suggest if you're thinking about buying a juicer is do the research as to what's available and what your budget is and what's available with that budget. And think about, what are you going to be juicing? Are you going to be juicing a lot of carrot juice? Are you going to be juicing a lot of greens? Do you want to be juicing wheatgrass every day? What are you going to be juicing most of the time? And knowing that and knowing what your budget is, then do the research as to what are your options. Because knowing how you kind of work, what you want to be making, how easy, how quickly, how durable is the machine, how easy is it to clean up, all of that. Those are all important factors when you're purchasing a machine. And the beautiful thing is that nowadays on the internet, there is reviews, plenty of reviews on each and every machine. And people really thoroughly go through what they like and what they don't and how they're using it. So sometimes it's better to know what you're planning to buy and then do the research to see what other consumers, what they think of it and how they're using it. And then you'll know. Then you'll, I think, be able to have a more confidence in yourself when you're deciding to buy a machine and what to buy. Also too, lastly, there are also commercial presses, which are even more expensive. But those are usually used more for commercial operations. And they too, it's a cold pressed juice, a high quality juice, and that too is available. There's a few juicers out there that do that as well. All right, so if you want to read the full article about all the choices you have and what I recommend, go to my website, radiantcentral.com, click on blog, and look for today's blog post for that. And you'll see it there. I also want to mention too that, and this is really exciting news, is that I'm working on a new juice fasting program, a 7-day juice fasting program. And it's not yet finished. I'm hoping to finish it probably in the next week or so. So do keep your eyes and your ears out for this. If you want to do a juice fast, we'll probably do the program live in the beginning of June. I would say maybe like the first week of June. So if you're thinking about doing a juice fast, it's going to be a 5-day juice fast. The program is 7 days total. So it's 5 days of doing a juice fast, and also includes 1 day of transitioning onto the juice fast and 1 day transitioning off. And I'm really excited. There's new videos for the program. There's a whole ebook with recipes and guidelines and everything. It's not only to sort of start you onto the juice fast, but it's to help motivate you and keep you on the juice fast, and also help you to transition off the juice fast. Because anyone who's done my previous program knows is that I really emphasize the importance of what you do after the juice fast. Okay, that to me is as important, or if not even more important, than the actual juice fast itself. So if you do want to be notified when the juice fast is finally available and launched, you can go to my website at radiantcentral.com and click on the juice fasting program there, and you'll see there's a place to put your email to be notified when the new juice fasting program is available. All right, so I'm super, super, super excited about that. And just to let anyone know who wants to do a whole food challenge, we start the next whole food challenge next Monday, May 25th. If you want to do 1 week of eating 100% healthy, whole, real, clean foods, join us. There is more information on that program as well at my website, radiantcentral.com. Have a fabulous day, everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.